Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. It is the day after the 4th of July, so happy post-celebration days to everyone out there. It's a good day for reflection, of which I've been doing a bit of that myself on, actually spun about by good old Twitter. Actually, I was reading a good tweet today. Someone said something along the lines of, men died for this freedoms, so what have you used your freedoms for in this past year? And I'm actually very embarrassed to admit this, but I think that it's important to do this publicly so that, I can maybe have a little bit more motivation not to do it in the future. What am I most embarrassed about over the past year that I used my fucking freedom for? Getting into goddamn Twitter arguments. Jesus Christ. Talk about a terrible way to be using your freedoms and time. So with that said, let's now put the focus on the Krown Chain application, which we found at app.krownchain.net. We actually do have a sale going on. I'm going to swing back to this a little bit later. Of course, the main thing that I want to say right now is don't rush into anything. Make sure that you watch the videos that accompany anything that you are perhaps interested in, and then we'll talk about it at the end of this video, perhaps if we do have time, because I want to make this video a little bit more on the shorter side. Anyways, as far as the dashboard goes, we see anything that is of particular interest here. Open interest more or less flat. Bitcoin dominance still flat, but still in an uptrend. Fear and greed index is still accumulating that good old fear, and I imagine that we're going to be looking at more or less the same things on the market data tab as of right now. We do see global funding rate is slightly negative, so that would give a slight bias, I do suppose, that we aren't necessarily ready to break down today, that is, or maybe just at least hold the range for right now. And the global exchanges net flows is actually somewhat positive, but extremely minimal here. So other than that, I don't think that we have too many things in the underlying market dynamics or quant data to go over right now. And let's just go straight into the price action charts as of this exact moment. And we have a very nice and easy range to be looking at right here. Got open at about 35,850 for CME. By the way, we're going to be focused on CME chart today because CME chart, I do think, and from my studies have shown that on Monday, especially Sunday and Monday, that is, once it opens, its signals typically play out a lot better than spot price action. We'll actually show a little bit of information later as to why I think that this is significantly more interesting. Anyways, looking at this right here, obviously we got a range going on right now, 35,850 to the upside versus about just last Friday low at about 32,815 region. But more importantly, with this, have we come back down and filled the gap thus far? You could definitely argue that we already have. If you look at this on a daily, we got wick to wick already. If I take this off right now, got Friday highs about $34,000. We've come down to about $34,000 already in the early morning hours. So with that in mind, if we go back down here and put on our lovely little drawing tools, what can we say? We got an obvious range going on. Can Bitcoin drop a little bit lower? Yes. However, actually am interested in a bit of a trade right here, not because it's like 100% guaranteed to work out. I typically don't like talking about this on stream because, well, obvious fucking reasons, obviously. But it's like just everyone follows. No, more importantly with this, what I'm looking at right here is that you do have a very obvious risk and reward, and you do have a nice trade on the other side if it does indeed fail. And how are you going to know if it fails? Well, you do have about 33,400 to 33,500 right here. That's kind of like the stopping point, more or less. So I do look at that as a nice pivot point, and there is, not so much risk to find out if this trade is going to not work out or if it is going to work out in this case. Of course, we do break below our current low side structure, just basically below that $33,000 low. Then this is no longer a potential higher low on the daily. It is just a continuation point before your next downside move, testing around the lows at about $32,000, maybe even a little bit lower than that at about 31,500-ish region. And then you got to hold your breath. Are we going to be breaking down to those $25,000 and $20,000 targets from that moment? Now, I think that's a little bit less likely right now, but I do think that it is, important to speak about. And we'll go back down to the lower term timeframes right here and look at momentum oscillators, of which we do see 4-hour BBWP, our volatility-based indicator, is actually in the single digits as of this moment, 5.56 percentile. So we are incredibly low right now and probably looking at a break of this current short-term time frame range in the next 24, maybe 36 hours. And that means, again, below about 30, let's just call it like $33,000 or above about 35,800-ish region. Above 35,800, I would look for the general targets that we have been speaking about for the past week or so to be like actionable at that point. Still looking at about 38,200 for the first sort of short-term stop, and then very likely continuation of the top side of the range, somewhere around about 40 to 41,000 bucks overall. We also do say that this does coincide with our volume profile point of control right here, basically the high of last week at about 36,400-ish region. So as long as Bitcoin is below there, it is kind of it's kind of hotly contended, obviously, and you actually do see on the other side that Bitcoin does have a nice, well, let's actually take this off right here so it's easier to see. We actually do have some nice nodes coming in at our current low, just around 33,000 bucks as well. So as long as Bitcoin's above that region, I just kind of look for it to fill this region out and very likely give another try to the upside. 4-hour TSI is twisting up here as well, which is kind of splitting hairs. It's not like a humongous deal, and it is in the bearish buy zone, but overall gives the bulls a little bit of a nod. 4-hour RSI is not giving us shit. It's just neutral to it's just neutral, really realistically. However, the daily is giving us something. If we do close this next daily dodo anywhere here or higher, basically, we will actually get another drive of phantom div, which will very likely give us a little bit of boost to test around that $36,000 level. And I would even argue that as soon as Bitcoin even just tests around there, probably going to actually initiate that move to the top side of the range with potential continuation to the mid deep $40,000 territory. Same sort of targets that we spoke about on yesterday's long-term analysis video, which I will link to at the end of this video right here. I won't go over the long-term analysis right now because that's going to make a 10-minute video into like a 50-minute video, which we don't want to do at this moment, and it'd just be rehashing all the other concepts. We also see daily TSI remaining with a little bit of upside momentum here too, again in the bearish buy zone, so it is kind of hotly contended alongside, or no, we already spoke about this, but alongside daily Jewel, which is given kind of like a slight, a very, very anemic bounce right here as well, but you know, it does give a little bit of an upside bias, I do suppose, with a very easy way to be managing this. Again, anywhere below Friday's low, or even just on a 4-hour closure below 33,000 bucks, this is not going to look too damn good if that were to happen, and I would be looking for another retest of the lows with potential to break lower. Although I really want to see that confirmation, you know, happen first, because we can really spend a lot more time at the $30,000 level. Again, if you are bullish, you're still looking probably at best sideways between about 31,000 bucks to 45,000 bucks for the next month and a half, 2 months. And if you're bearish, you're probably still looking a little bit of sideways here, but probably breaking down either, you know, around the midpoint of this month, maybe August or something like that. Anyways, as it stands, let's go over to our secondary charts over here. I think this actually paints a little bit more of a short-term okay picture as well. We do see the 20 simple actually supporting price action. Non-exponential average is starting to curl up as well. Typically speaking, once you do see that sort of interplay, I typically do like to target the 55 in this case, and that actually is around 37,000 bucks. That would obviously imply a higher high above this guy right here as well, which has bigger implications for basically testing the top side of the range once again, to those, you know, $39,000, $40,000 territories. Anyways, with that said, momentum oscillators are saying what here? We do see 12 hours twisting up right now. Sorry, that was not on the daily. I thought that we were looking at the daily right there. My apologies. Let's go over here. Daily did not. Yeah, daily's not doing the same thing, but if it does catch on to the non-exponential average right here, that'd be the next sort of decent-ish signal. I want to see these moving averages start to contract between each other. That would be good for the BULAs, obviously, and you know, any sort of a closure above the 20 simple at this point very likely does get that next move to the upside. And there's your 55, basically at the top side of the range as well. Yeah, okay, perfect. Okay, so that's exactly what I'm looking for. If we can actually get that alongside daily MACD, continue with the up, which we will with any sort of a closure above 32.6, 12 hours going to be 33,200. So actually still okay here as well. Again, very, very easy to kind of manage these positions. They're not 100% guaranteed to work out, and realistically, we're smack dab in the middle of a fucking weekly range. Like, this is just AIDS tier price action right here. I think it looks even worse, obviously, on spot price action as well. Anyways, we should address this here too. We did close a weekly and a 5-day last night for Bitcoin spot. And what did we see? We see weekly Stokes actually twisting up for the first time since March, April, in fact, when Bitcoin, you know, was in the $50,000 to $60,000 range. And that will be maintained as long as we do close above 34,500. Bitcoin's about 250 bucks below there right now, but still about 6 days left to go to closure. And then the 5-day also closed last night as well. And technically speaking, actually we are a little bit down right now, and we'll be remaining to the downside as long as below 37. Now this does obviously close on Friday. So what is that essentially saying? It's essentially saying that if Bitcoin does fail to get back above 37,000 bucks by Friday closure, then, well, I would actually start to really look for this to break down, in fact. So that'd be around your midpoint of your second, third week of July. And that would actually line up with a lot of things. And yeah, I would be looking for targets to, 25,000 or 24 to 25,000 bucks, very likely a bounce there with continuation to, 19, 20,000 bucks. And potentially that would be the low. I am very open-minded towards that happening, but personally speaking, as of right now, I think Bitcoin's more likely to bounce first if you're bearish, and then keel on over. I think the bears would be much more happy with higher fills at this point, because we've been pretty lackluster within this range, more or less. Anyways, I'm curious how CME momentum oscillators are operating right now. Let's go down to the lower term timeframes, and this is what I wanted to show you earlier. This is why I put more weight on CME chart in comparison to spot price action at the beginning of the week. You can see CME Stokes right here. They are actually nice and angled up from the critical zone essentially, and will be remaining to the upside as long as we're above 32,900-ish region. Compare that with spot price action, which is different, 35,850, and coming in from the opposite angle, from the opposite critical zone, which would be a lot less confidence inducing right here. Overall, though, I do think that CME, at least from my studies, have shown a much higher efficacy of actually working out for those indicator signals just in general in comparison to spot on Sunday and Monday. By Tuesday, they kind of come into parity for the most part. Anyways, is there anything else that I want to speak about here before we move on? I think we kind of nailed most of the things that I wanted to talk about. Pretty damn simple day. Basically we got a short-term range, 35,800 to the upside versus about, let's just call it 33,000 bucks to the downside. Look, I'd even go as far as saying that, let me take this off for the second here. I'd even go as far as saying that if Bitcoin does come down below, you can see that I put in a bit of a, retracement right here. I just want to see what the actual numbers are. If Bitcoin does come down below, especially like the 886, which is 33,000 bucks, we're not going to hold this level. Extremely unlikely. I mean, 786 is bad enough. We've already come down and are currently bouncing off the 618, which is pretty damn normal. That's 33,850 to 33,900 tick. So I'd give Bitcoin a chance to bounce here, kind of grind it out for the majority of the day, and then perhaps mount an assault back up towards our open, anywhere above the open. I'd even go as far as saying any 4-hour closure above 35,000 bucks. And I'd be looking for this one to give a try towards those deeper $39,000 to $40,000 territories. Very likely pullbacks, somewhere around the top side of the range. Again, same area. Let's just say 40,000 bucks, and then probably continuation over the rest of this month to the mid to deep $40,000 territory. I do think that area is still bull trappy. I wouldn't necessarily just get blindly bullish above there for long-term all-time highs. I'd still be looking for more or less a range to play out for the majority of summer if you are bullish. I do still think that sideways is the best case scenario for more or less. Anyways, we're about 11 minutes into this video thus far. Pretty damn short analysis right here. I think I'll swing back on over to, we'll swing back on over to this. We'll talk about the sale for just a second here. Again, I want to make sure that no one ever rushes into these. If you're interested in any of these programs or any of these indicators, make sure that you take advantage of the free content there on YouTube first. It's there for that reason. I have several playlists of which you're probably going to be interested in if you're new. The new to technical analysis playlist, or technical analysis 101. I forget what I called it actually. Anyways, make sure that you watch that. So, it could be that you are not interested in this. It could also be that, that's all that that's all the tips and tricks that you wanted to know. I mean, maybe it's definitely possible. As several people have, at least told me that they've made it just from, the daily streams and very simplistic playlists like that, which is great, which is awesome, man. I'm more than happy for that. Understand that these are big financial and time commitments. Obviously, they take this program is a little bit over 40 hours. This one is a little more advanced and probably around 35 hours. And realistically, they're going to take, it's really meant to be taken over the course of 6 months to a year and come back to that material over time. What I'd also say with these is that they are not a magic pill, obviously. And for the people that I find who actually end up being successful, which is not everyone, obviously, because there's not a quality of effort, obviously. But it typically takes about a year to a year and a half for those people to get consistently successful, which is pretty much in line with what I learned as well. When I was first learning trading, it took me about a year and a half, I would say. I was a little bit on the slower side, but once you get consistent, that's really all that you're looking for. And then it's kind of just tighten up little screws here and there. Other than that, the neophyte's initiation to trading is extremely, extremely basic. That's only for someone who is, it's like your first couple months in this market. You don't know anything. You don't even know your way around exchange. Again, this is all explained in the introduction videos in these, which you can view at any time just by clicking on these on the Learn More tab. Jewel Indicator is no longer subscription. It is a full just one-time payment. And then we got PineScript Mastery if you want to learn how to code your indicators. We got Caretaker's RSI, which is my biggest guilty pleasure, which I don't mean as an aside to Caretaker, obviously. It's just, after using the fucking RSI for 10 years, I thought that I knew everything about it. Apparently not. That one actually taught me a few things, which is really fucking interesting. STC, a great little tool as well, kind of getting the momentum plays. And what else do we see? We see Jackie's psychology video program, which is only intended for people who already have experience trading and they know their basics, whatever their edge is. They just for whatever reason can't apply it and aren't consistently profitable despite knowing the basics at the very least. He also has his live mentorship, which is a more one type of setup. And then obviously we got the liquidity zone over here with their bi-weekly newsletter for traditional markets specific. So with all of that in mind, again, a pretty damn simple day today. I'm going to be signing off right now. I'll be back on tomorrow with some more live stream analysis. With that said, take care. I salute you and hopefully see you soon.